What is a trend line? A trend line is the sweetest way to trade Forex. If a trend line is drawn well, it can be very accurate, and I mean very accurate. If you combine trend lines with support and resistance and chart analysis to trade, you will be a Forex beast. In fact, whenever I spot a trend line, I am always very happy because I know my money bag is about to get filled up again. So after all the hype, I am sure you are wondering what this trend line is. A trend line is a support or resistance, but in a trending market. Remember, I mentioned that support and resistance trading works best when a market is ranging. Now, I am telling you that support and resistance trading now works on a trending market, but it is not called support and resistance trading. It is called trend line trading. What do I mean by trend line trading? A trend line is a line that you draw on a trend. It is divided into two parts. One, upper trend line, also known time be the resistance. Two, lower trend line, also known to be the support. The lower trend line is the trend line drawn on a trend. This line is drawn along the bottom of every identifiable lows on a trend. Let me explain. In Forex trading, whenever the market is trending, it retraces. This means it draws back or goes in the opposite direction a little bit, before it continues moving along the trend. Whenever it retraces, it will have a lowest point. This point is what I refer to as the low. And there are two types of lows in a trend. We have a lower low and a higher low. Let me show you in TradingView website.
So let's clear this out. We'll be using the Euro USD as an example to explain this lower low and higher low. Let's take this down. So this is a downtrend here. So this is a low here, and this low, because it is lower than this low here, we'll call this low a lower low. This is another low, that is the lowest point in which the price will get to before it bounces up. This is a lower low here. Because this low is lower than this other low, we'll call this a lower low. But in the case of highs, this is a high, the highest point a price will get to before it bounces down. This high is higher than this high, and this high is lower than this high. This high here is lower than this high. So because this high is lower than this high, we call this a lower high. So if it is in the case of a trending market and it is trending upwards, let's look at this here. Let's use our trend lines to explain. So this is a low, and this is a low that is higher than this previous low. So if you see a low higher than this previous low, you can refer to this as a higher low. Unlike this one, we refer to this low here as the lower low. So this is a higher low, and this is another higher low. If you look at this in terms of highs, this is a high and this is a higher high. So in case I'm talking about higher highs and lower lows and lower highs,
The upper trend line is the line drawn on a trend along every identifiable high. Let me explain this. As a price goes along a trend, remember I said it retraces, right? The beginning of this retracement is what I refer to as the higher high. See the image below for what I mean. So how do trend lines work? You ask, as I said, trend lines work using the support and resistance principle. A trend line should be drawn on trends. A trend line doesn't work when a market ranges sideways. These are just a few points to note on how trend lines work. Types of trends include 1. Uptrends, 2. Downtrend, 3. Ranging market, aka no trend. Just note these at the back of your mind. How to draw. Trend lines. Remember that trend lines are just like support and resistance, but on a trend. Therefore, when you want to draw a trend line, you will use your knowledge on the support and resistance to draw a trend line. Now that you have mastered how to draw your support and resistance, we can go into how to draw a trend line. Note this. There will be times that you will not be able to use support and resistance trading. When you get stuck, you should try trend line trading next. This is not a rule. It's just a suggestion. So never force support and resistance lines to fit into a chart. Remember I said it before that one strategy doesn't work on all pairs. Steps on how to draw trend lines. 1. Firstly, spot your trend. Check out bigger time frames. 2. After spotting your trend, draw a line that will represent the support or resistance, and boom, you have drawn a trend line. So how will you see a trend line? 1. Firstly, go to your Tools panel. 2. Select the slanted line. 3. Draw it over the charts. Let me show you in TradingView website.
So on the higher time frame, we have a downtrend. This is a downtrend. So let's look for where we can draw our trend line. As you can see, I've previously drawn a trend line here. But let's just delete this and look at how we can draw our trend line. So to draw your trend line, what you should do, the first thing I said you should do is to go to your tools panel. For my trading view, this is my tools panel, and I said you select a slanted line. This is a slanted line, and you can draw it over your chart. In this case, I can identify different highs. So this is a high here, this is another high. So I can just draw this over the chart, and boom, we have our trend line. This is our trend line right here. As you can see, if you want to trade with this, you just sell when it gets to the trend line, sell again, and sell. So this is how the trend line is supposed to look like.
Note, the market must be moving along a trend before you consider using your trend line. Never try it when you see a ranging market. Let us look at something called trend channels. Don't let the name trend channels scare you. Trend channels are simply two trend lines that are parallel to each other. They can be two or more, but as long as they represent your support and resistance levels moving on a trend, then you are good to go. Trend channels also help you when you want to do entries in a market. We will get to that when we are treating entries and exits. How do we draw trend channels, you ask? They are drawn by drawing a trend line that touches the most lows, and another line is drawn that touches the most highs. The image below shows a trend channel. Here is an exercise for you. I want you to choose any time in 5 different charts and draw a trend line for me. Send it to me via DM on Telegram. Click the link in the description to join our Telegram channel today.